minutes I've been delving about why the context of big data analytics is very important today and what it generates in context of today's business environment, why it is useful, and the three main dimensions which are about volume, variety, velocity, which are hugely impacting the whole field, and emerging opportunities in handling this become a source of both new kinds of jobs, new kinds of work, new kinds of entrepreneurship opportunities, etc. So while we are at that, what is the whole benefit of this whole field? Let's call it data science, let's call it machine learning, let's call it business analytics. The whole field, the idea is about being able to learn from historical data, could be also called as experience, and somehow use that data to improve your performance. It could be improving performance like improving sales or improving conversion of leads or improving ability of the program to work without human intervention, or improving the accuracy of the output, or it could be reducing the time to generate a insight and use it. All kinds of improvements are possible by looking at learning from historical data, which we call it experience. So there are three elements. One is historical data. Then second is some notion of performance metric. Third is when you learn from the historical data and come up with a model or come up with a approach, you improve on the second thing, which is the performance metric. So all three are important. First is historical data, collecting historical data, collecting experience data. You call it experience data, historical data, or raw data, information, whatever. It could be transactional data, it could be image data, it could be all kinds of data. Second, identifying key performance indicators. What is a performance indicator which you are looking at? There was an earlier quantification of that. There is a new quantification of that when you're using the insight coming from your historical data. So the notion is you should improve that by using whatever you've created from your historical data. So let me, for lack of full detail, let me call it a model. What we do is we try to use the historical data and come up with a model which summarizes the typical behavior of that particular instance, and that model is used to replace the basic raw collection of your historical data. So you don't want to work with the entire historical data. Instead, you want to work with a model that is generated from that data. And that is what you're going to use to perform in a future scenario. So what does it mean when I say future scenario? Let's take an example of, say, retail transactions. Let us do a historical analysis of all the typical items which people have bought over the last 4 years. Let's call it a shopping cart analysis, right? So it will be like set of items which people have bought over last 1 year. It could be each person gone through some 100 plus transactions over, say, 4 years. I don't know, you go to shop every day, right? So I'm assuming 100 to 300 some odd transactions. You do it across all customers in the shop who come to your shop. Then you want to basically understand, okay, what are the items which people buy together? In the sense, if people buy this, they also buy the other thing. So what is the business value here? The business value here is, if people are buying something in your shopping cart, a specific item, you will try to upsell them or cross-sell them the other item, because most of the other people have a common tendency to pick them up together. So that's where we're trying to say that historical transaction data is probably going to give you a model where you're saying that, okay, here is the set of items which are going together. So we create something like the frequent item set, which is your model. And then you use that in a new transaction which somebody is buying, and you try to influence them to buy a co-located item in your item set so that it enhances the overall sale of the retail store. So a most common example which people quote, which has been actually very useful in historical explanation of this particular item of frequent items at mining, is the people who buy beer apparently also buy a lot of diapers. This has been done as a historical analysis, but why is it useful? Because I think probably there's some explanation. It's probably like a lot of dads go out when they're babysitting, they're watching TV, they go out to buy beer, they also probably go and get diapers for babysitting. I think that's a good rational explanation. So that's just one of the explanations. But important thing for you to understand is there's this notion of historical data, then there is this notion of model, which is in our case, what is the frequent item set. Then there is a notion of improving experience, which is the overall sale of the items in the company. There we're talking about improving the sales with using the model which is generated.